ball from Morgan, and it breaks her down on the Kerry. Goal chance from Kerry, and it's stopped by Henley.
See Mayo have that extra week on you. Are you worried about that at all?
I suppose it's Mayo's advantage from that point of view, but at the same time we know where we are. We knew where we were going. It's not ideal, but we're glad to be there. Just
John O'Brien has given the penalty. Here's O'Donoghue. What a shot that is! The option is Conor Myler, and that's the choice he's made. McShane pointed to where he wanted it. He's got the wrong side of Mullen! Conor McShane has done it again! As he did against Kerry, he fists the ball to the back of the net. Some added impetus to the Mayo attack, but Corona on the attack now, and it's Conor McKenna. 2 goals against Kerry, and he puts it on the plate for Darren McCurry. Corona got their second goal.
The GAA Club Championship Review on OTB Sports.
In partnership with AIB, proud sponsors of the Football, Hurling and Camogie All-Ireland Club Championships.
Yeah, you're welcome back. 43 minutes on the clock at Goodison, by the way. Everton 0, Arsenal 0. We're going to turn to GAA. Chat about the weekend. The Kerry County final caught the eye for various reasons. It was Austin Stacks against Kearns O'Rahilly's, the first All-Tralee final since 1963. First Kerry final between these two in 85 years. So I was much anticipated for obvious reasons. In the end, Kieran Donaghy and Austin Stacks prevailed 13 points to 10 points. And Liam Kearns, former manager at Limerick and Laois and Tipperary, and himself, once upon a time, a player for Austin Stacks as well, was at the game. You're on the line there, Liam.
Yeah, how are you?
So 9,000 made their way to the game, I was reading at the weekend. 13 points to 10, a win again for Austin Stacks and for Kieran Donaghy. I'd say this was a fun week in Tralee.
Yeah, There was. I'd say there was 10,000 or more at it. I'd say, but it looked like that anyway. I'd say it was the best atmosphere I was at in the game since COVID started, really. So it was very enjoyable from that point of view. Good weather, good pitch, and a great atmosphere. So it was enjoyable, very enjoyable from that point of view. And obviously, from being a Stacks fan, getting the result was all important.
Yes, you won a senior football championship medal with Stacks. What was it, 1986?
That's right, yeah.
Okay, so give us a sense of the rivalry here between Stacks and Kearns O'Rahilly's. Is it a friendly rivalry? Does it depend on where you're born? Does it depend on who your father was and who his father was before him? How does all this work then? Who decides who plays for who?
Yeah, there are more teams in Tralee as the town has got bigger. For instance, Naguil are now just gone up to senior. They won the intermediate yesterday, and they would have been part of the Stacks club about 15 or 20 years ago, and they're now out on their own. But Stranroad and Kearns O'Rahilly's, we call them Stranroad, but they would have been there for years. There's a strong rivalry there for many years. But having said that, that was the first time they met in a county final in 85 years. So that made it huge. Stacks probably have the better of the rivalry over the years. But if they had lost this game, it reminded me a little bit of Kerry and Cork when they met in the All-Ireland final a few years ago. If Cork had beaten Kerry, it would have, I think it was Paul Galvin that said everything was on the line if we lost that particular game. So the same thing applied, I think, in Tralee. Everything was on the line in Tralee yesterday, and the rivalry would be huge. The banter would be good. There'd be a lot of good friends between the two, in the town, but Stranroad would have their area and Stacks would have their area, and the rivalry would be very keen.
Yeah, well, this win draws Stacks level with Crokes now, 13 county titles, and it finished in dramatic fashion, just 3 points in it, as I said, and the Twin Towers, once upon a time, Twin Towers reunited. So Kieran Donaghy of Stacks was back marking Tommy Walsh on the edge of the square, because obviously Kearns O'Rahilly's had to go for a goal, and Donaghy played his part. I think he kicked a point as well, 38 years of age, still going strong.
Yeah, he was inspirational for them, really, and you could see that the younger players were feeding off him. I have to say, I saw him in the semi-final and the final, and in the semi-final against Brendan's, they were under fair pressure and they brought him out to midfield and landed the ball on top of his head 3 times, and 3 times he pulled it out of the sky for them to give them vital possession. And again yesterday, when O'Rahilly's got within 3 points of them, they brought him out midfield, landed the ball on top of his head, and again he came up with the ball, and Stacks got a point to go 4 up, directly from his fetch. And as you said, then at the end of it, he was in on the edge of the square mark and Tommy Walsh to make sure that nothing came from the last ball or two that went in. So he's an inspirational character, in fairness to him, and I think he has an awful lot to do with the win that they got yesterday.
Yeah, I would think so. Incredibly charismatic person, incredibly generous, real winner, really wants to win. Played golf with him once, and honestly, he put me under so much pressure over each putt, but like in a nice way as well, and I can imagine him knitting a young team together. He was making the point, Donaghy, that his first county final was maybe 20 years ago, and this is only his second ever Kerry title. He mentioned the great South Kerry team, then the Gaeltacht team came along, then the Crokes team came along. I think East Kerry are very strong now. So he was really stressing to the team, I was reading, that these things are not easily won. This felt like a man on a mission to get one more before he heads out the door, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. He won one in 2014, and he got that one yesterday. And he's playing since 2001, I think, 2002. So that's 20 years. And as he said, divisional teams took over, and then Crokes really dominated for a long time. So you've got to take your chances when you get them. And as I said, they were lucky to beat St Brendan's in the semi-final. And indeed, I would say Stranraer were lucky to beat Crokes in the semi-final as well. So it was a big opportunity. And the other thing was COVID tightened things up this year in Kerry, and that meant the divisional teams didn't get to prepare as well as they had in previous years. So it was important, as I said, that Stacks took their opportunity yesterday, and thank God they did.
And Liam, 13 points to 10 doesn't sound like a free scoring bonanza. Was this kind of a tight, testy affair, defensive?
Yeah, I think that's the way the game has gone. I'll be honest with you, I watched 3 finals, or 2 finals and a semi-final 2 weeks ago. One was the Dublin County final, and it was 0-0 after 22 minutes.
Yeah.
Another one was the Mayo County final, and it was 2 points to 1 after 27 minutes. And then there was the Stacks against Brendan's, and it was 3-2 or 4-3 at half time. I'm afraid in most counties the game has become very defensive, and that's disappointing from my point of view anyway. I felt that the county game was opening up a little bit last year, and it's disappointing that it seems to be the case that it's very defensive in most counties now, because those counties, that was Mayo, Dublin and Kerry, 3 of the biggest counties in the country. And
if you were to ask people to name the 3 counties who play some of the most attractive football, they'd pitch for those 3. Why do you think this is the case at club level then? Because it is disappointing to hear.
I don't know. I think it's incumbent on the coaches to coach more than that and better than that. And I know there is a case where you've got to cut your cloth. If you've got good forwards, you'll play to your strengths. But it's so easy, to get an amount of players behind the ball and get them to work hard. But that's killing the skill in the game, and it's just making it very boring and very negative and very hard to watch. So the guys with the skills are being driven out of the game, if you like. And as I said, I just hope that there's a change in attitude, because if there isn't, we're going to lose supporters and people are not going to go. I mean, it was fine being part of the Stacks yesterday and seeing them win the game, but at the same time, if you were neutral, the game itself was an ordinary game.
Yeah. I guess at county level, you have a certain standard or calibre of player to unlock defences, which is what, and ultimately the laws of physics, if you just fill up the space with defenders, you need that bit of quality to unlock defenders, and maybe they're not as available at club level. And look, the easiest, as you would well know, Liam, the easiest thing to do is to set up a team to be defensive. You can do that in a couple of sessions.
Yeah, and I think that's the reality. That is what's happening, and you're dead right, really, because there's only every team, or most club teams, have only got 1 or 2 top class forwards, and then you find the opposition are setting up their defences to stop those 2 forwards, and you always have a chance if it's going to be a 10-point game, and that's the attitude of an awful lot of clubs.
Yeah, well, look, Stacks won't mind this evening. Liam, thanks very much for telling us about the game. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Cheers. Liam Kearns there, who won county medal with Stacks back in 1986, and obviously has managed Limerick, Laois and Tipperary in the meantime. And the club championship coverage and Off the Ball is brought to you by AIB, proud sponsors of the Football, Hurling and Camogie All-Ireland Club Championships. You can check out #TheToughest for more. It's half-time at Goodison. Arsenal just scored before the break there, so 1-0 at half-time to Arsenal.
The GAA Club Championship Review on OTB Sports.
In partnership with AIB, proud sponsors of the Football, Hurling and Camogie All-Ireland Club Championships.
Many families will face impossible choices this Christmas. Please support the St Vincent de Paul annual appeal. Donate locally at svp.ie or call 0818 176 176.
Have you heard the news? The Irish Independent has a new podcast.
We're not in the fairy tale business as journalists. We're in the truth business, and the question was there.
20 minutes, 5 days a week, the Indo Daily takes you beyond the headlines and into Ireland's most talked about stories.
So 25 years on, people are absolutely fascinated again with this case.
The Indo Daily podcast, available on Spotify, Apple, independent.ie and wherever you get your podcasts.
Support Irish retail by shopping with Ireland's #1 online store, mixgarage.com. With guaranteed next day delivery across a massive range of items, you'll find everything you need for your car, home, garden, staycation and so much more. Sign up to our sale alerts to access exclusive discounts and get €5 off your first order. Join almost 1 million happy customers and shop Irish with mixgarage.com for Brexit-proof shopping delivered straight to your door. Visit mixgarage.com today and buy Irish.
This Christmas at Super Value, we have great offers to help you share the magic. Like Super Value Signature Taste Irish Hampshire Pork Loin, half price. Selected Coke 6-pack cans, seasonal biscuits like McVitie's, and Kyo's multi-pack crisps, any 3 for €10. And selected 20-pack